Alright guys, so today we're going to do something a bit different. I put out a request in Discord for you guys to send me some of your videos that you perhaps were proud of, but perhaps wanted to do a bit more, see what else you could do in terms of your Dead by Daylight killer games. I'm not the world's best killer, but I'm fairly experienced in most different avenues of playing killer in Dead by Daylight. So this is the first of that. If you remember during the Overwatch day, Stylos did something very similar with his Overanalyze series. I'm going to be less of a twat, but same basic principle. So, Vegeta sent in this Ghostface game. So we're going to be having a look at it and see how we go. All right, so we're in.
Sweet.
Ooh, okay. So you have Lery's right now. That's a really good start with Lery's. Let's see the perks. Okay, so just pausing it here. Nurses, Barbecue, Thrill, and Devour. That's like a fine build for just like a generic killer. I wouldn't say it's the best build for Ghostface. It's very clear that you're kind of banking on Devour quite heavily here with the Thrill of the Hunt. You know, that gives you that extra protection, perhaps that bit of extra time to hopefully get it to work. Nurse's Calling, love it on Ghostface. Fantastic perk. You can really turn the screw, really kind of disrupt heals, disrupt saves, and really make the most of your powers with it. So Nurse's Calling is great. I'll leave the kind of Devour Thrill of the Hunt for a little bit, because Barbecue is a really interesting perk, and it's one that I think it's a great perk, but I think it's almost like it's made to feel like a better perk than it is, because it's not only got, you know, whenever you hook someone, you see people who are outside your terror radius or outside a certain radius, but you also get, obviously, the blood points. I tend to not use Barbecue as much anymore, because quite often I can find it a bit misleading. You could probably swap it out for another information perk that is slightly more focused around generators. I would be thinking perhaps something like a Discordance. You might even be able to get away with something like Lethal Pursuer, but that leaves you quite exposed for the rest of the game, because it talks about the beginning of the game. But I personally would swap off and put Discordance on here. Now, the Devour Hope and the Thrill of the Hunt, it's going to be really interesting here, because, again, perfectly fine, but you're playing a killer that already has insta-down potential. You might be better off using more gen control perks, because you have that lethality aspect built into his power. It just takes a little bit of time to get. But if you're dead set on running Devour, you can't necessarily protect your totems that well as Ghostface, and especially against like really good squads further on. Whenever you get further on up, you're going to just lose your totems. That's kind of just like a fact. And then you're kind of left with Thrill of the Hunt, which isn't doing anything. Your Thrill of the Hunt will just kind of be there. It will be taking up a bit of time as people cleanse dull totems, but the good survivors will just not bother. You know, they won't necessarily worry about it, because some of them might have been thinking in your head, okay, well, he probably has this perk, he probably has that perk, he has 2 lit totems, there's your 4 perks, no need to cleanse for NOED. I would probably swap Thrill for perhaps something like Haunted, because that way, at least if they cleanse your totems, you get something more out of it. You're guaranteed a bit of lethality even if you lose the Devour slightly early. But as I said, this is not a bad build starting out. You know, perfectly fine. You've got strong add-ons on, so you get your power back really quickly. It's just perhaps you could look at running a build that's slightly more catered towards Ghostface's weaknesses rather than kind of overlapping on his strengths.
Fuck me, my office AC is broken.
Oh, that's
so
not good.
That's unfortunate that you happen to run straight into that Claudette straight off the bat. You could have probably hugged a bit more of the kind of scenery there.
F's in the chat for emoji.
I like this use of stock. I like the use of stock. You got some stock off on the Claudette, obviously, which I didn't even actually see on your replay.
Okay.
F.
Wait, the other Claudette have it marked? Interesting. I don't care about marking you.
Okay,
Oh,
W Gamer Claudette. This is one of the biggest problems with Ghostface that you'll find is that he is very prone to being just outrun. Say for example, if this Claudette had been fully healthy,
Okay.
and you'd stalk them, they literally just can engage W. Interesting choice to kick the generator here. I personally wouldn't have. You don't have a gen build to protect generators. I would have personally pursued the Jake and tried to get a hit off and then could have gone back to it, because kicking it there, you're going to save yourself like a couple of seconds. It's not as if you had pop or something like that. You could include surge instead of devour, and that'll just give you a bit more pressure. Surge, I think, works really well with Ghostface, especially if you're getting the stocks really close together. You don't need to worry about them running too far, and you'll probably be catching people on gens a lot of the time. So Surge is a really, really good option that saves you a lot of time. I definitely would have cloaked a little bit earlier. You saw on nurses. As soon as you see nurses come up, just cloak, because that means that you might be able to sneak up on people healing and just even interrupt the healing, spook them a little bit, and make them perhaps think twice about next time you heal, or next time they heal. Yeah, this loop can be tough, and sometimes you just literally need to dedicate to going to going through it and taking it. Once they're stuck in that loop, it's very hard to get them out of it. One thing I would say, it's not that you're respecting the pallets, it's the fact that you're sort of pallet dancing a little bit. Don't be afraid to think in your mind of the pallets as your territory as well. And what I mean by that is, if they throw down a pallet, you can force them to throw down a pallet, but then you can also dictate what side of the pallet you're on. So in that situation, in that sort of reception area with the benches, you want to kind of zone them out slightly. And what I mean by that is, you have two sides that you can choose to break the pallet on. If you break the pallet on the side looking in towards the rest of the hospital, you're giving the Claudette a lot more options to work with. If you're sort of zoning them out and pushing them towards the exit gate, that means that their choices are much more limited.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd be slightly concerned about that, because I would assume that notification, I would just assume that that was someone on your totem.
Oblivious gamers. I love it.
It's one thing that with Thrill that I still forget.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there it went. There's also a really, really interesting angle that you just had where you were looking through an obstacle. Those are really, really cool. Those are really, really good to watch out for. At higher ranks, I wouldn't even bother to move, because you'll find that as you get further down into the ranks, whether it be like red ranks or whatever they're changing to now, gold or platinum ranks, whenever you get down to that sort of level, you'll find that whenever they're coming up against a Ghostface, they will swivel the camera a lot quicker, and they may well just pick you up and see start to uncloak you, even if it's by accident. Whenever you were hidden behind that area, that sort of medicine cabinet, there was no way that they'd be able to see you. And you could have just stalked them a bit slower, albeit, but you would have still been able to stalk them from there. If you had, again, a perk like Surge, that extra time would be worth it, because you'd be downing them directly on the gen at a higher rank.
those BBQ stacks.
That is, in fact, the plan. Alright, that's fine.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Okay, I was going to keep you 99.
I think that was more of a sort of reactionary slap of the Claudette. You had her really quite far stalked.
Yep,
And your power recharges so quickly with those add-ons. I think you probably, you said yourself,
thanks for this god
you were
power.
going to 99er. I think in a different scenario, you might have been able to down her that bit quicker. But that just, again, comes with time and comes with getting comfortable with Ghostface's ability. Don't be afraid to just sort of
actually, I kinda
have
do
that
if I
patience and that planning.
let that one go.
It's totally fine as Ghostface to do nothing for a little bit.
I can't get her toe, really? How? What?
One trick of winning flashlights, you don't need to sort of move around left and right or look up. Look down. If you look down, you can still see the you can still see where you're going. You can still see the obstacles. You can still see where the survivors are.
I get you down either way.
And you can't get blinded. It's how you manage to. It's how you keep on a survivor that's trying to flashlight blind you, because you can literally just see them. So yeah, just look straight down and track that way. You don't need to sort of look to the side, look behind. If you're wanting to fool someone, for example, at a pallet, make it really obvious. Say if you're running lightboard and you want to pretend that you don't, fake it and make it really obvious, like you're looking wildly away. But if you're just sort of, in general, sort of trying to avoid flashlight, just look down. Really good trick for every single killer that I only recently learned. Unfortunate lag there. That probably means that the Jake's going to get away from you a little bit. This is the big issue with Ghostface, and this is one of the reasons why in my particular build I run Mindbreaker. This wouldn't have worked in this instance, but certainly Mindbreaker is a great perk for if you need to chase down people on gens. How did they not see you?
You're not little marked.
Oh, there's a Jake.
You are.
Easy down. You just got a little bit of time left. Oh yeah, Jake doesn't look behind him. Alright, that's not too bad. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why I use Mindbreaker. You get that benefit of an exhaustion perk that people aren't usually expecting on any killer. It's not the best killer perk. But for Ghostface, that is basically countered by running W and shift to a pallet and just wasting time. That in combination with the green aftershave, the green yeah, the green aftershave. What is this? What is this, Yoon? You alright?
Yeah,
Jeez.
you're right behind me, Jim.
But this is the best thing about Ghostface. This is what Ghostface is really good at. Look at how much you've got the Yoon Jin stock. Again, you showed really good patience there, and that Yoon should be dead now.
Thank you.
There you go.
It's
One of the big things that Yoon can do, or Ghostface can do, is just
You do
that
not
really
have BC.
easy pressure around cocky unhooks. If you show a little bit of patience. One thing that I tend to do is I tend to prep survivors. I'll show you this clip here. It literally started the game taking a high ground, which obviously you do not really have in this map. But I literally just prep the Quentin, and then it's up to me whether or not I want to actually go after the Quentin. If I don't go after him, then he is ready to be down later on. I haven't wasted my time. It's if I hit him after I've prepped him that much, then it's the waste. Then it's the waste of time. So you did really, really well there. You prepped the Yoon at the heel. And then it paid off. Do more of that. You're using his power quite well, but I think you could probably just be a little bit more effective on other maps. Lery's, along with Midwich, are really, really good at just creeping up on people. If you're running nurses, even if you just kind of sort of creep up on someone and don't bother to stalk as much on these maps, you're getting a huge amount out of just being in stealth as a stealth killer because of the amount of walls and because of the obscured line of sight. But as Ghostface, that obscured line of sight goes both ways. You aren't able to see them, and therefore you can't stalk them to insta-down. But that doesn't mean that you can't injure them and then go after them later. There weren't too many medkits in this game, and I think that could, that would have helped you a lot. It's the kind of duality of playing Ghostface. You do have that insta-down potential, but first and foremost, you have his stealth, and on certain maps, the stealth is almost as strong, if not more so, than the insta-down potential that he has.
Okay, we just leave. Oh, hello, Hatch.
Yeah, see, at that point, that's kind of like the one major mistake that you've had a couple of times in this, which is just basically hitting someone who's more than, halfway stalked. This Claudette shows that she doesn't look around her. You could literally just, like, quickly go into chase. Whenever you come up to a wall, just cloak and lean, and then she'd be insta-down. Then you'd have someone else on a hook, and forcing the last Claudette to make a choice. Does she want to go for the save? In which case, the game's still on. Or does she just want to up and leave because she's injured? In which case, you get a 3k. Because you sort of, I'm not going to say panicked, but because you reacted and slapped the Claudette as if you're an M1 killer and didn't use your stock efficiently, I would wager that this Claudette's probably going to get away.
Hello, Claudette. Hello, Stinky. He's not on the store.
I don't mind that play going to look at the door, but you were still quite a far way away
We'll see.
from
And how much do you want to bet
the
these
door
two
when you
Claudettes
decided
have
to
the same
check
exact
it.
build?
I would have continued to pursue the Claudette, because at that point the Claudette would have had to come back through you to get to that door. The door was no longer in play because all she could have done would have been to dead hard, and she was already too far
Thank you,
past
Mark,
that
and I
for it to be
totally never heard
effective.
that one.
You're almost being too conservative, I guess. You're spreading yourself slightly too thin
Okay.
because you're trying to you're either trying to check whether or not the door was being opened or trying to get an easy hit on the other Claudette, which is fine, but you were close to probably closing in on the Claudette there anyway. And I think that had you dedicated, you probably could have forced her down there. Especially because this Claudette doesn't seem to want to look behind her that much.
Discord server. URL.
I think she's probably on Hatch, actually.
Good recognition. The hatch is nearby. I actually thought it was the other side of the map, so that's really well remembered.
Alright, we'll take 5 points.
So that shows that you got really good map awareness and map understanding, which is really good.
You can't make it past me. Wait, what? She made it past me. Oh, she went to the other door. Okay.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All right, let's quickly see the ranks here.
Not bad, though. God damn it.
I will say you didn't really play like a rank 12 or a rank 13, rank 12 Ghostface. We were. I can't remember when you sent me this. I don't know whether or not this was in and around rank reset, but honestly, I think had you had slightly more consistency with your perks, not only would it have helped you in this game, but it'll help you really get a feel for the time that you have for Ghostface. Devour Hope covers a multitude of sins. I'm not a massive fan of running it just in general, because I feel like it either ends the game really quickly or makes you have to work twice as hard. You lose the need to stalk, either be it as Michael or as Ghostface, whenever you have that promise of a ready insta-down. In the same way as if you were to use it on Leatherface, you become that bit more reluctant to make mistakes with your chainsaw. However, what you need to be doing is making these mistakes so you know what you can get away with and what you can't get away with. I think had you a slightly different build setup, depending on what perks you have unlocked, what I tend to go for is one chase perk, one information perk, and one gen perk, and then that fourth one is dependent on the killer. So quite often, for my Ghostface build, I think I run Pop, I run Nurses, I run Mindbreaker, and then I think I run... I can't remember what I run. A fourth perk, depending on how the games are going. That could be Lightborn if they bring in lots of flashlights. That could be Brutal Strength. That could be something like Corrupt, or even perhaps Lethal Pursuer or Discordance. Just a bit of extra information. But certainly, some of the survivors were not green ranks. I mean, you're stuck in with a rank 16 and a rank 4. I guarantee you that the rank 16 was that Claudette that didn't really want to look behind her. There's the Yoon as well. But yeah, overall, like, really, really solid play. The perks, I think, didn't do you any favors. There were perhaps a couple of times where you were almost a bit timid to commit to a chase long term, particularly at the end there, whenever you're really starting to feel the pressure of the doors being opened and not seeing a Claudette for a while. And just, I think you would have, those two insta-downs are huge in Dead by Daylight. You think how effective NOED can be, and how effective Devour Hope can be. If you get those two insta-downs on the Claudette twice, one at the end and one when she vaulted through the window when she was about 70% stocked, I think you could possibly have certainly extended the game a little bit, maybe even gotten a 3K or even a 4K. It was really that close because one of those Claudettes was dead on hook. Because she tried to Kobe at the start. But those are the thin margins. Those are the fine lines. But overall, really, really solid. And I hope anyone who's wanting to pick up a bit more about Ghostface, or just killers in general, we'll see if we can't make this a bit of a longer series. Hopefully get more people involved, more killers involved, and we'll see how we do. We'll see how it goes. But if you did enjoy it, do leave a like, do drop a comment, perhaps see what killer you want to be covered next. If you got any, if you have any matches you would want me to have a look at, do put them in the Discord. I do live stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday and Thursday evenings, GMT, BST, almost always killer games. The other 2 days are variety, which are in the afternoons, British Standard. You can come check me there. But until next time, guys, take care.